I, 36 male, have one child, Melissa, young teen, with my ex, Jane, 39. We were together for about a year when she got pregnant and expected me to marry her because of it. While I did agree that it would be best for us to move in together, I never said that I would marry her, and she didn't tell me that she expected me to propose until her final month of pregnancy, and she yelled at me for not proposing sooner. Finally, due to the lack of communication and mass assumptions, I set the record straight and said that I wouldn't marry a woman I've only known for less than 2 years just because she was having my baby. Cue the flying monkeys that were her parents, friends, etc., saying that I needed to take responsibility and make an honest woman out of her. I countered that if getting married, especially before the baby was born, was so important to her, then she should have picked a different guy. I also pointed out that I was taking responsibility when I moved in, agreed to pay all the bills because Jane didn't want to work while pregnant, attended most doctor's appointments, all the birthing classes, and built the nursery. Jane was so mad that she stormed out and didn't speak to me until after she'd given birth. That ticked me off, and I demanded a DNA test before signing the birth certificate, and she was so bitter that I wouldn't marry her. By the time Melissa was 5, I had already taken Jane to court 7 times about custody and visitation. Things got slightly better after Jane started dating again because I would casually imply that she was still in love with me, and her boyfriend didn't respond well to that. She backed off and wouldn't fight me on my scheduled time. Eventually, the guy gave her a ring, but Melissa was old enough to be vocal about wanting to spend time with me by then. While I am glad that Jane found a new guy, this man wasn't exactly a prize and always wanted something for nothing. He wanted to be his own man and own a business, and that inherently wasn't bad, but he was just bad at it. When the bank wouldn't give him a loan for his next business venture, he convinced Jane to take a mortgage on her house, and it failed. Jane called me claiming to need more money for our daughter's expenses, and when I asked her for a detailed report, she got upset and tried to guilt trip me. She said she would take me to court, but I knew it would get denied since she'd already gotten an increase 3 months ago. That's when Jane confessed to me about the mortgage and that if I didn't help, Melissa would lose her home. I countered saying that as long as I had a roof, Melissa would never be homeless. Cue the flying monkeys again. Then I told her that I would help with the loan payments after she signed the house over to me. I made this offer knowing she wouldn't accept it, but prepared to do it because I can say that I tried to help so that our daughter wouldn't be in danger of losing her home because of her mom's stupid choices again. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Who on earth expects their ex to help out financially beyond the child money? You have a house. Melissa is a teen. She can easily decide to live with you. Your child won't be homeless. If your ex wants to take Melissa to live on the streets, I suppose it's pretty easy to get the court to force Melissa to stay with you. You don't need to help her. They can move out, get a job, and pay normal rent. Regarding your offer, not the idiot. You're asking for collateral for the loan, which is reasonable and wise to protect yourself. At the end of the day, you're right that your daughter will not be homeless over this. Her request is over the top ridiculous. That whole divorce/custody situation sounds like a nightmare for your daughter, with both of your petty squabbling. Not the idiot. I fail to see how their failing business entitles them to more of your money. The whole situation leading up to Melissa's birth seems like a big mess, but honestly has nothing to do with the current situation. Be prepared for this situation to blow up, though, especially if Jane alienates you from your daughter by telling her version of events. Everyone's the idiot here. You are not wrong for denying to pay her mortgage, since you have no obligation to your ex, but you seem very bitter and resentful of how they treated you, and seem bent on making her as miserable as she and her family made you. You can easily go to your lawyer and figure out a way to contact her minimally and only about your daughter. It sounds like you're in a better situation and have a good relationship with your daughter, so why continue being a petty idiot? Both you and your ex need to grow up. Am I, 38 female, wrong for asking my fiance, 35 male, to sign a prenuptial agreement, prenup? His sister says that I am. My fiance and I are both in our 30s. We've been together for 3 years and engaged for a week. When I brought up the idea of a prenuptial agreement, he got upset and said that I was an idiot. We got into an argument and I did admittedly go too far. I've since apologized, but he thinks a prenup indicates that I see him as a leech. But I don't. I just make a lot more than him. He didn't even have a job for most of our relationship. For more info on our financial circumstances, he makes about $18 an hour working in a factory where he's worked for about 5 months. Before that, he didn't have a job for more than a month during the 5 years we've known each other. Together for 3, friends for 2. And I've been a cardiologist for a little more than 5 years. And last year, I made $418K after taxes. His sister is aware of this and is very close to her brother. After our fight, where I may have gone too far, he left. But his sister called me saying I was a shallow idiot for the asking and hung up before I could dispute anything she said. His mom texted me later to say she was disappointed and never thought I was the type to think my fiancé was beneath me. He has since come back and we've both apologized. But are his mother and sister right? Am I an idiot for saying I will not get married without some prenuptial agreement? Edit, I never spoke with an attorney, but I was looking to have something stating that, in the event of a divorce, he would forfeit the right to any of the assets that I owned before the relationship, and possibly something stating I wouldn't need to pay spousal support in the event of divorce, although I don't believe that's a thing. His mother claimed the second request, which I'm not sure is possible, and would be up to a judge after the divorce, was unreasonable, and I was an idiot for it. Not the idiot. Is this for real? You will be a complete idiot if you don't get a prenup. The guy has been unemployed for the better part of your relationship. I would recommend a prenup for everyone. It seems like they want him to be taken care of in case of divorce and not mooching off of them. I would not be going any further in this relationship. Not the idiot. If he were concerned about you thinking he's a leech, then he'd have offered a prenup to begin with. Do not marry this man without an ironclad prenup. I'd also be very concerned that he ran to his family with relationship issues and divulged personal financial issues. The fact that both his mother and his sister thought it was okay to confront you about what he so inappropriately shared is a major red flag. OP, dump him. What kind of man lets his mother and sister take up a fight with you on his behalf? Please think of the meddling they will engage in after you two get married. If you do not dump him, at least go to some pre-marriage counseling and work out his family's boundaries. The prenup is one of your issues. I come from a conservative Christian family. All my family members were and are involved in the church and have church-based jobs. When they met my wife, they loved her and embraced her as their own. We dated for 2 years and discovered she was pregnant after we got engaged. Invitations were already sent, and we decided to have the wedding on the date still when my wife was 5 months pregnant. My family was furious when they found out my wife was pregnant. They asked if we even still considered having a wedding. I said, why not? But they were very upset, especially Mom and Dad, who said they've always been known for their decency and good Christian values and weren't willing to let this stain their reputation, as in me and my wife getting married while pregnant. They officially dropped out and refused to negotiate, saying it was done, and I have only myself to blame for this outcome and should move the wedding out of town. I was hurt. I tried to change their minds and check with other members, but my brother said he had no intentions to look like a joke in front of his fellow church members and dropped out. My aunt pretended to be sick and said she might not be able to make it. She's 100% healthy. My cousin said he had a business trip and stopped his wife and kids from attending, and my uncle cussed me out, torn the invitation and kicked me out. I felt terrible with no family members of my own to support me and share my joy at my wedding. I even broke down crying after the ceremony. I haven't spoken to them for months, and then got busy with my 4-week-old daughter. My cousin reached out to hand me gifts and well wishes for the birth of my daughter sent from my family. I returned everything. He sat with me on behalf of the family, saying I shouldn't have returned the gifts from my family, who wanted to see and hopefully be involved in my daughter's life. He said Mom's longing to meet her grandbaby, and everyone else wants to visit soon to celebrate my daughter's life. I asked him this question. I said, wasn't my daughter the reason why the entire lot of them abandoned my wedding? He just stared grudgingly as I went on about how they treated my daughter as something to be ashamed of and hide. My daughter at some point will ask about the wedding, and I have no intentions of lying to her. He replied saying he guaranteed I got it all wrong, and no matter what goes down between us, I can never deny that my daughter is their granddaughter and niece, etc., and they're her family. He asked that I arrange for them to visit, but I refused. He kept pressing the idea, but I shut him down. Finally, my wife says I should let them come, but I still refuse. Not the idiot. Keep them away from your daughter. You're right. They are toxic. My friend had a similar thing happen, but let the family back into his life. Years later, he found out that the family would pull his daughter aside from when she was a toddler until she was a teen to tell her that she was a bastard and a sinner. Awful stuff. He immediately cut off his family again when he found out, but it messed his daughter up until he got her therapy. I think that they reap what they sow, plain and simple. They ditched you as a family because of your daughter. Now you need to protect her from them. What if they pull this on her? What if she does something they don't like, or they consider a stain on their reputation? No, they do not deserve to meet her. They ended that relationship themselves, not you. Good riddance to bad rubbish. I have in-laws who use religion to try and control and shame and judge me. I've walked away and am so much happier not being around any of them, so I know where you're coming from. Not the idiot. Actions have consequences. They chose their church facade over being supportive family members. They ruined the relationship. Now that there's a physically adorable baby, they want to play with her. Nah, fam, you're still hurt. You have to give yourself time to heal. Then decide if you want to rebuild a relationship with your family. Congrats on your little one and marriage. My guess is the initial embarrassment was that you were having a baby out of wedlock. Now they're embarrassed that they don't have a relationship with their grandbaby. It seems like they're all about image, and they want people to think they have a perfect, happy family. Disclaimer about sister-in-law. She was dating a guy for 2 years but broke up 4 months ago because she cheated on him and got caught. Sister-in-law and mother-in-law are very traditional and try to find a man for sister-in-law so she won't stay unmarried and without kids. While dating her ex, she was in a one-sided race with me on who will get proposed to first. Yesterday, my fiancé proposed to me. We were both ready and over the moon. We've been together for 5 years, living together. We firstly announced it to my parents and siblings, who were very happy, and then headed to my in-laws to announce it. In-laws were also very happy, hugged us, except my sister-in-law, who congratulated us but didn't hug us. While there, my fiancé called his best friend via FaceTime to announce it. When he picked up, sister-in-law grabbed fiancé's phone and said she had to make an announcement. She immediately announced our engagement and barely let us talk to my fiancé's best friend. Fiancé was chasing her around the house to give the phone back, and his best friend also told her to let him talk to us and congratulate us, but she started talking about her new friend with benefits she met last week. Fiancé grabbed the phone and told his friend we'd call him later. As soon as fiancé hung up, mother-in-law started saying that she was so excited that we were engaged, but disappointed sister-in-law wasn't first. She and sister-in-law then started planning sister-in-law's imaginary wedding. We quietly left, since we didn't want to be upset on that special day, and headed home. While heading home, my own best friend called me and asked me if I was engaged. I asked her how she knew, and said sister-in-law posted my ring on Facebook. She got a pic of the ring while we were there, and announced our engagement. Furious, once we got home, we FaceTimed my sister-in-law, and mother-in-law was next to her. We expressed how upset we were that she robbed us of publicly announcing our engagement to our best friends. She and mother-in-law called us ungrateful and said sister-in-law did us a favor by announcing it because now we won't be stressed to announce it to so many people. So I started yelling, saying how they're very selfish to ruin our moment and make it about sister-in-law while robbing us of the experience to announce it on our own to our friends with our own terms. Both of them said that we're idiots for reacting like this, that we are ungrateful, and how I'll be the worst bridezilla. So, do not invite her to the wedding. She'll find someone as desperate as her and propose at your wedding, or do something equally awful. Time for you and your fiancé to set some very clear boundaries if you don't want shenanigans like this to continue throughout your wedding planning and new life being merged with this family. Draw a line in the sand now, or expect this nasty behavior to be enabled and continued. But prepare for sister-in-law to post photos of your wedding before you get a chance to, announce your pregnancy before you're ready to, and post pics of your newborn before you've announced the birth. It was your news to announce, not theirs. That's all there is to it. Sister-in-law and mother-in-law are upset she wasn't first? Too bad. Maybe she would have been first if she hadn't cheated. Instead, she made the decision, accepted the consequences. Making it about her and robbing you of the announcement was incredibly selfish. I'd see about distancing yourself from them if your fiancé is okay with it. I would even reconsider inviting them to the wedding altogether. I can even imagine sister-in-law showing up in a white dress because the color favors her or something of the like. Sister-in-law seems to be that type of person without any doubt, and mother-in-law enabling her only aggravates the situation even more, present or a future one. After the wedding, I would consider going no contact with both of them. You do not need such people near you. My children and I moved to another state in search of a job opportunity that was offered to me. It has been a tremendous change, as my children have only lived in one place their entire lives. I enrolled my daughter, Samantha Teen, and my son in a local public school that is 5 minutes from home. Sadly, my son Dane, young tween, has been bullied there. I reported the incidents and spoke to the administration, but they did nothing. As a result, Dane had a panic attack before going to school last week, and after that, I decided I would withdraw my son from that school and enroll him in another 25 minutes away from home. Classes in my country start at 7, so I can't have Samantha and Dane in different schools. I drive them there. I talked to Samantha about what's going on with her brother, that I decided to enroll him in another school, and how it's going to be difficult for me to have them in different schools. So I offered her 2 options. If she wants to stay at the same school, she needs to be ready at 6:25 a.m., so I can leave Dane at his school first and then drive to hers, or take the public transport. There's no school bus here. She didn't like either of those options, so I told her I was sorry, but she was enrolling in the other school. Samantha is incredibly mad at me. She says that I'm choosing Dane over her and that her mental health is as important as her brother's, which is true, but right now, Dane's day-to-day life is being affected. She then tells me that it's my fault that Dane is being bullied because I've coddled Dane his whole life. Samantha told her aunt because she called me and yelled at me for choosing Dane over Samantha and trying to disrupt her life again. I'm starting to question if I'm the idiot. Not the idiot, but from her reaction along with the aunt's response, there does seem to be some favoritism towards your son, and your daughter keeps getting the short end of the stick. Why not leave early to drop off your son and then come back and pick up your daughter after? You are the idiot. Why must your daughter wake up earlier and sit on a 45 to 50-minute car ride every day when her school is just 5 minutes away? Can't you drive back and pick her up, then drive her to school? I'm sure the fuel cost to swing back and get her is hardly going to make a dent compared to the opportunity cost of her changing schools again. Why can't daughter simply walk to school if she's old enough? A 5-minute drive in an urban area is about 15 to 20 minutes walking, yes? OP is not the idiot. I think the options you presented to Samantha are very reasonable. If she wants to go to her current school, the small sacrifice of getting up a little earlier that you'll also have to make is extremely reasonable. You are not demanding that she change schools, and you are looking out for your son's mental health, which is admirable. I personally think that she's being selfish and ignoring how damaging bullying can be to your son's mental health. Yes, it may suck to get up a little earlier to continue to go to the school with your friends, but it's a lot less damaging than being bullied every day.